International trends. The guest is Dr. LMadu3. Dr. LMadu3, over the last couple of segments, you've given us some excellent information dealing with the new international trends, with special emphasis up on China. But now, over this last segment that we have, over the last 6 minutes that we have here, let's talk about Africa, and let's put special emphasis upon Zaire and upon Nigeria, and some of the things that you think that the popular mind ought to be familiar with, so that we might be able to make intelligent decisions dealing with these two particular areas on the continent of Africa.
Well, the problems in Zaire now as old as the country itself. You know, since the country became independent in the 60s from Belgian colonial rule, it has faced numerous chaotic situations. From 60 to 64. When that country, you know, was convulsed with internal political problems following the death of Patrice Lumumba, you know, and the rise to power of General Mobutu in the 60s. You know, Congo, as it was called, you know, became synonymous with anarchy and chaos until 1965, you know, when General Mobutu took over, became president, you know, and crushed the secessionist movements, and changed the country, its name from Congo to Zaire, and then introduced a policy of authenticity, you know, when forced people to change their names to conform with African realities. Since then, he's been in power, you know, until this rebellion started last October as a result of some political infighting, both in Zaire itself and outside the borders. You know, the current leader of the rebellion, Laurent Kabila, has been there before. He's been there more than 3 times before. In fact, he was one of the rebel leaders against Mobutu in the early 60s after Lumumba was assassinated. He's from Shaba, a province in Zaire, and he's leading the Democratic Alliance for the Liberation of the Congo, so-called. But really, his movement is financed and orchestrated by 3 African countries and their leaders who have some animus against Zaire and Mobutu, specifically Yoweri Museveni, president of Uganda, who in a way, he's a Hima, who are related to the Tutsis. Then across the border in Rwanda, Paul Kagame, you know, who is the vice president who really runs the country, wants the refugees to get out from his borders, you know, the Hutu refugees. And then in Burundi, across the border, you have Pierre Buyoya, who's the president, who wants also those, you know, Hutu rebels to cease, you know, attacking his country from sanctuaries in Zaire. Then, of course, Angola, because, you know, during the 70s, when Angola was fighting for its independence, I mean, when the rival groups in Angola were fighting, Mobutu was a conduit for CIA money and arms to 2 other groups, the FNLA and also the UNITA. Holding Roberto, who was the leader of the FNLA, happened to be his brother-in-law. And of course, you know of Jonas Savimbi, you know. So what has happened now, you have a realignment. You have Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda supporting, you know, the rebels to take over. And then you have Savimbi, who has been under pressure in Angola himself, sending troops to help Mobutu, who has been financing him. You see? So, but really, the catalyst that started the present movement came as a result of an order issued by Zairean authorities in the Kivu province to deny citizenship to Tutsis who lived in the area. They've lived over there for about 300 years. So that was the catalyst, really. But this has been planned for long by the governments of Uganda, Burundi, and, you know, Rwanda, because...
Well, Dr. LMadu3, all of this seems to create a foundation for nothing but chaos. How do you, and what are some of the solutions over the next 2 minutes that we have of getting out of that kind of situation? I mean, how do you see the outcome of all of that?
Well, I think inevitably 2 things will happen. Either Laurent Kabila and his group take over the government of Zaire, or there will be a negotiated settlement and a broad-based coalition government. Mobutu just appointed Etienne Tshisekedi as prime minister, who has, you know, he has a broad popular support around the country, in place of the former premier, Kwengo Wadongo, who was accused of having Tutsi sympathies because one of his parents happened to be Tutsi. You know, however, that relates to the Nigerian problem. You know, last week, to say specifically, there was a local government elections in Nigeria that will lead to, you know, a handing over by the military to an elected civilian democratic government next October. This is very significant because that has been one of the reasons why the United States government has failed or refused to you know, certify, you know, Nigeria, as you very well know. So this is a movement in the right direction. While some people are still calling for the reinstatement of the cancelled elections, one has to understand that there's no going back now for the Nigerian government because the government, including people like me, see it as a double, you know, game being played by Western countries when it comes to Nigerian democracy.
Very good. Dr. Madu, let me, over the last 15, 20 seconds that we have here, thank you for bringing us that excellent information about the new international trends, Africa and China, with special emphasis upon Zaire and upon Nigeria. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.